Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here. So guys, we're talking Battlin Boxers in this video, and I'm not gonna lie, that is something I definitely did not see myself ever saying on this channel. You know, I first looked at the art type and I was like, okay, well, it appears that this stupid ass name and this very crude artwork was designed by maybe a 7-year-old, and why are these things fire warriors? That doesn't make any sense. And I just thought that it was another run-of-the-mill art type that was just gonna come out and flop, you know. But then I ran into the deck like maybe a week ago on DN, and I got thoroughly smashed. Like, dude just thrashed me 2-0. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was like, wait, your guy can do what? How many times in one turn? And those two cards make what? Wait, how did that get into the graveyard? And you can negate this in the damage? I'm like, whoa, I am just overwhelmed. But seriously, you know, then I looked at the art type and I was like, holy shit. I know that nobody's playing it, but you really have like some pretty legit cards. You know, I'm not saying that it's like going to be tier 1 or anything. I just think that it's an art type that maybe people should keep their eye on. And when I look at it in relation to this this format right now, it kind of reminds me of Evil Swarm. Like, I think that Battlin Boxers can be good, not because they're so great themselves, but because of the matchups. Like, Evil Swarm wasn't that great, but it was really good against Dragon Rulers last format. And if you got E-Virus, it could obviously just destroy Prophecy. And then it was good against Mermail too. So it's like the deck wasn't really that great itself, but the matchups were there. And I think that that this deck might be able to find a spot like that. Excuse me. Now, to me, this art type kind of seems like Konami tried to do a little trickery here. You know, I looked at it under the microscope and I was like, hey, wait a minute. You're not a new art type. You're just scraps. You know, like the whole deck is level 4 centric, and it can't make a ton of great plays from the extra deck. But the ones that it do, the ones that, you know, the deck does make, they definitely pack a punch. First off, I have to talk about Dp-Ygo. Like, that is the main XC that the deck wants to make, and this card is flat out freaking amazing. Okay, so let's count off all the good things that it does. He has self-protection. That's good. You know, his effects works on both turns and in the damage step. You can use this effect on any Battlin Boxer, not just himself. And best of all, what really sold me on this card and kind of sold me on the art type is his attack goes up every single time you use his protection effect. Fuck yes, Konami. That's what I'm talking about. Like, that is how you make a boss monster. Like, literally, I didn't need to know anything else about this art type. That just sold me on it. That sold me on at least the notion that it can be semi-playable. You know, this card in this format could be a problem. You know, you look at a lot of the top contenders. Okay, Blackwings. Well, they destroy mainly everything through battle, you know. Well, this guy basically says no to Kulut, Sirocco, Gale. And if that wasn't enough, okay, well, I attack and you use Kulut on me. Alright, well, not only is Dp-Ygo not going to die, guess what? Now he's 3K. He's even more difficult to kill than when you tried to kill him the first time. You know, look at Mermail. Okay, they try and pop it with heavy infantry. And I'm like, sure, I'll just activate my effect. He won't die. And now he's 3K. So he's bigger than anything in your entire deck. So Abyss Lead is going to be looking real salty when he can't run my guy over. You even look at the Dragon Ruler matchup, and it's like, okay, obviously, it would be a problem if you let them get Draco Sack, but outside of Draco Sack and Big Eye, I mean, this guy's pretty damn difficult for them to get over. All right, let's say they summon Blaster and they attack it. All right, that's cool. I'll just go ahead and I'll detach. Now my guy's at 3K. So no dragons in your deck can run him over. And even if you have to resort to doing a desperation play, like using a Blaster Pop on it, okay, he still doesn't die. Now he's pissed off. He's 3,800, and he's going to obviously take that frustration out on you. It ain't going to be me. You know, I think the card is fucking amazing because it not just offers protection for itself and all your other boxing buddies, but it gets more difficult to kill every single time you try and kill it. And you look at some of the trends in the format. Okay, well, Dimensional Prison doesn't really see that much play, and Compose Evacuation Device is limited. So clearly, you're not going to be expecting for your monster to get hit with Compose often. Not to mention, Mirror Force, Dark Hole, I mean, those just aren't going to cut it. This guy's just going to activate his effect, and then he's going to get even bigger. That's the main thing about this card is, if you can't kill it when it's 2,200, then you probably can't kill it when he's 3,800. You know, and then to make the deck more consistent, you know, the deck does have kind of its own one card XC. a la Scrap Chimera, you know, or excuse me, Scrap Chimera. You know, Switch Hitter is that one card it sees, so it's not like this card is that difficult to summon. You know, and I think that it's also worth mentioning that the deck does have its own baby Kulut. You know, it gives any Battlin Boxer 1000 attack during the damage step if they were attacked, or, you know, they attack, and you can use that even when your monster doesn't attack another monster, so you can add that on to potentially end games. Now, it is once per turn, so I wouldn't think that it's as good as Kulut, because especially with Whirlwind at 3, you can drop like multiple Kaluts in one turn and just end games. However, you can use this card from the graveyard, which I read that and I was like, wait, what? You know, my opponent did that to me. He's like, activate this effect. I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, I can activate it from the graveyard too. And I was like, okay, this is just retarded. So I think the fact that you can activate it from the graveyard easily makes up for the fact that you can't use multiples in one turn. Now, as much as I love Dp-Ygo and the Boxing Kulut, if the deck really didn't have anything else going for it, I'd probably say that it was way too linear to ever even think about using on a competitive level. But when you throw a couple of Masked Chameleons in there, you can actually open up some synchro plays, because, you know, the Battlin Boxer Glassjaw, he has 0 defense, which means now you have one card synchro plays, and level 8 synchros are actually really good this format. I mean, can you say Crimson Blader against Dragons, Monarchs, and Mermaids? And if you've got a field of Dp-Ygo plus Stardust Dragon, I mean, good luck getting through that shit. Dp-Ygo is already protecting itself and its boxing monsters, but then when you add Stardust to protect it from the Dark Holes and the Mirror Force, okay, well, it's pretty much a wrap. Now, the biggest problem I have seen with the deck is speed. Speed is the main issue, because the deck doesn't really have any tutor cards, so obviously it needs some setup time. And being a warrior-based deck is severely overrated in my opinion, because, let's be real, Rhoda is never, ever, ever going to go back to 3. But could you imagine, like, if this deck would have been Beast Warrior? Like, that shit would have been so freaking good. Like, Horn of the Phantom Beast on Dp-Ygo. Like, okay, maybe that would have been a little OP, and maybe that's why they didn't do it. Because, like, Dp-Ygo would never die, and his attack would just keep going up, and you keep drawing cards, and that would be ridiculous. Now, the Prophecy matchup, from what I can see, it seems like it's pretty much unwinnable, because Spellbook of Fate just basically rapes your entire deck. I mean, there's no way for you to stop it. Dp-Ygo just gets shit on by that card, and clearly that's a problem. So you would have to side heavily for that matchup, but you got to keep in mind, if you're siding in Iron Wall, well, then you can't use your Boxing Kulut, because that card has to be banished. So overall, I think that, you know, some of the matchups like Black Wings and Dragons and Mermaid, you know, if you can get Dp-Ygo on the field early, that card is going to be a problem for those matchups. You just have to keep Draco, Sack, and Big Eye off the board, and, you know, Dragon Rulers are going to have to invest a whole bunch of resources trying to get that card off the board, when you can just normal summon and make another one relatively quickly. So, yeah, hopefully this deck will get some good tutor cards in the future, and maybe it can get a little more speed. I mean, could you imagine, like, Boxing Whirlwind? That would be so fucking legit. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribing makes life happy.